In today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 5 best. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 5 best free recording software for Mac. Before I get into this video, please like and subscribe. Leave comments below. Let me know what software you are using right now. Are you using any software that I mentioned, or are you using software that I haven't mentioned that you think I should have mentioned in this video? Making this video was a lot of fun because I got to kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit. I natively use Pro Tools for recording. I've used it since the beginning of my recording career, basically. I'm really comfortable with it. I'm really efficient at it. I can work really quickly, so that's why I stick with it. I'm not saying that the software that I picked for this top 5 is the best software. I picked this software because it had something that resonates with my style of recording. I think it's actually one of those common things a lot of people get hung up on. What's the best kind of software? What's the best DAW I should be using? And the thing is, they're all really good. It all depends on your workflow. That's the key thing. You want to find something that resonates to how you work and something that you can learn really efficiently, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're working as fast as the artist is coming up with ideas, right? Because there's nothing worse than being in a session where an artist has something, wants to try something, and you're having a hard time editing or routing something, and it just kind of breaks the flow. So what's important is that whatever software you decide to pick and use, just try to get as fast and as efficient with it as possible. And that's what's going to give you value as an engineer, not necessarily that you have the most expensive software, but that you have software that you can work quickly with, because that's going to resonate with the artist that you're producing. So with that said, here are my top 5 best free recording software for Mac. So coming in at number 5 is a DAW called Ardour 6, and it technically isn't free, but it is, and I'll explain to you why in a sec. When you download it, just the straight demo, basically you have it for 10 minutes, and then a neg screen is going to come up and ask if you want to continue to evaluate. When it does that, it kind of freezes your audio, so you really can't do any production with it unless you pay for it. If you decide to pay for it, I think it's like $1 a month. I could be wrong, but it's really cheap. This is where the free part comes in. Ardour 6 is open source, which means you can take the source code and you can compile it yourself, and if you do that, then you got the free DAW to work with and mess around with. A couple things about the layout: it's a little dated. I find the UI is a little bit clunky, so when you first open it, it's kind of weird to kind of get your bearings, but once you do, it's not that bad, and there's a lot of effects you can mess around with, and yeah, the source code version gives you basically everything you need to do a full-out production, which is pretty cool. So coming in at number 4 is GarageBand. GarageBand comes native on your Mac. It's a really cool little piece of software. I know that there's only 32 tracks to work with, but honestly, that's not a deal breaker for me. I'm used to working with 32 tracks, especially back in the day when I had my Pro Tools LE set up, and I was able to make it work. I think a very important feature about GarageBand is how easy it is to get up and running. The UI is very straightforward, very simple to figure out. I think a lot of companies forget that not everybody has 15 years of experience working with digital audio workstations. In fact, a lot of people now that are coming up into it don't use Pro Tools. They use a lot of other kind of nonlinear kind of formats. So just to be able to jump in and start making music, I think is a very powerful thing. It has a ton of great loops, and there's a bunch of effects. Like the fact that you can just kind of pick a drummer and get going, I think is amazing. The guitar amp simulations are really good. So there's a lot there. I think the only thing that I don't like that much about GarageBand is just how you edit in GarageBand. I find like not having things like crossfades kind of throws me off a little bit. Knowing all the different kinds of tools that you have to use, and that's like also in Logic, kind of slow me down, where I'm a fan of smart tools. So I know a lot of people that use GarageBand as like their main recording software, and it sounds amazing. So my number 3 pick is Waveform 11. Waveform 11 is the evolution of Trackton, which eventually turned into Waveform 11. It's a really neat software. It's unlimited tracks. It's a full working DAW. You might be limited with instrument tracks at first, but other than that, you have access to a ton of really great plugins, third-party plugins. They really don't limit what you can do with that. A cool thing about this software is that it's built off the framework Juice. Juice is a framework that people use to make different applications, like different plugins, different software in general. So if you are interested in making your own plugins, I totally recommend checking out Juice. I'll leave a link below. It's totally free to get you up and running. basically Juice was invented to make the Trackton DAW. I think I'm saying it right. Traction? Anyways, which turned into Waveform 11. So I totally recommend checking it out. There's a lot you can do with the software. If you're used to traditional DAWs like I am, it takes a minute to get used to it because it's more of a drag and drop system. When you create a track, you don't specify, is it a MIDI track, is it an audio track? It is whatever you make it to be. Does that make sense? Basically, you create a track, and if you record to it, it becomes an audio track. But if you drop an instrument into it, it will become a MIDI instrument track. So for my number 2 pick, I picked Studio One Prime, which is made by Presonus. It's a great out-of-the-box DAW. It gives you unlimited tracks. It has a ton of plugins that you can mess with. It comes with like 3 gigs of audio loops and samples that you can start messing with right away, which I think is fantastic. The UI is pretty straightforward. Everything's pretty clean. I actually think out of all the other DAWs that I reviewed this week, this was probably one of the simplest ones to navigate around. It also takes advantage of that drag and drop kind of thing where you can just drag a plugin onto something and it works, right click, moving things around. You don't have to do any routing. It seems pretty simple that way. So you don't have access to third-party external virtual instruments. I think they have like 8 that you can use. If you want to use your own, then I think you have to upgrade. Again, these are just a couple limitations, but not deal breakers. You can still do a lot with what they're giving you for free. So this brings me to my number 1 DAW on the Mac platform, and that is Reaper. I know Reaper isn't free. It's $60 if you decide to pay for it, which is not that much, or you can just keep reevaluating it for free. You have that option. But they give you everything. So when you fire it up, it sees all your plugins, all your third-party plugins. It gives you unlimited tracks. Everything's at your fingertips. Now, I've always found Reaper to be fairly ugly. It reminds me of an industrial machine UI software interface. Like, it's very technically looking. But if you can get past that, the benefits outweigh how it looks. You can do anything with it, literally. Reaper gives you the ability to write a script, which is incredibly powerful. And in fact, this functionality probably makes it more powerful than any other DAW on the market right now. Let's say there's a feature or something that I need the automation to do, or I need the program to do, and it doesn't do it yet. I could wait for the manufacturer to fix the software and make a release, and then I can download it, and that could take a while. Or I could write a script, and I can fix that issue myself, and then I have it. And because of that, it makes this DAW more valuable than any of the other DAWs that I put on the list. And like I said, I know it's not free, so I kind of cheated myself on this, but you know what? Download the evaluation, work with it for like 60 days. If you like it, pay the $60. So there you have it. There are my top 5 best free recording software for Mac. And there's a ton of software out there. I know I didn't cover all of it, so if there's something that you think I missed or something that you think I should try out, please let me know in the comments. I would love to try whatever you guys recommend because I had a lot of fun doing this. Just remember what I said at the beginning of this video, that the software is just a tool for the engineer, and there's no right or wrong software to use. Everybody's different, everybody works differently, so you want to find software that best suits the way your workflow works. I think the secret is once you find that software, you want to spend the time and get really fast at it. So learn the short keys, get comfortable with how to route stuff, because eventually when you're working with clients or when you're working with yourself, you want to make sure you're working as fast as the artist is working creatively, right? There's nothing worse than somebody has an idea, all of a sudden you have to stop the session because you have to learn how to route something or do something. That's kind of the trick to it. It's not the software, it's how you use the software. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.